because we're already at 8:03. And I'll introduce myself first, and then ask the rest of the panelists to introduce themselves. Thank you, everybody, for joining in tonight. We're super excited to have this Parent of Alumni panel. Every year when we offer a panel like this, they tend to be a huge success. I know that parents love hearing from their peers, right? And hearing from other parents who have taken the leap to send their teen abroad with CIEE, right? And, taken that courageous decision, but very, very worthwhile. So, my name is Brianna. I am the Community Engagement Manager for the CIEE Global Navigator team, which means that I work primarily with student alumni and parents and the program leaders that are American teachers that go on these programs with our students to create events like this and opportunities like this to talk about the CIEE experience. I'm joined tonight by my amazing coworker, Chandra. Chandra, you can say hi in a second, and then three parents. So I'm just going to have everybody introduce themselves now. If Chandra, you want to start.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Brianna. My name is Chandra, and I'm one of the enrollment coordinators here for our high school summer abroad programs. I work specifically with students in Oregon and Washington and Alaska, but generally also can answer any questions that you have about our programs or scholarships, so feel free to ask.
Great. Basha, do you want to go ahead?
Hello, good evening. My name is Basha. My son Ethan participated in immersive program in the language immersive program in Barcelona last summer. And I'm open to any questions, and I'm really, really excited to contribute.
Thank you. Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm so happy to be here with you all. My daughter Aria did the second session of Leadership and Service in Public Health in Santiago, Dominican Republic. And I'm also happy to answer any questions.
And Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah. My daughter Ellie went to Milan last year as part of the cultural and language exchange, and she's going to Scotland for creative writing this coming summer. So, again, like everyone else said, happy to answer any questions.
Super exciting. So just to let everybody know the format, I'm going to go over a couple of informational slides, and then I have some questions for the parents to kind of get the conversation going. But we have the question and answer box open. Please feel free to drop questions in there. We will also ask those of the parents. And Chandra is also here to help man that question and answer box and type answers to a lot of you as the questions come in to kind of make sure that we can answer as many questions as possible within the time frame. So to get started, I assume that most of you are here because your teen is already deciding to go abroad with CIEE, and probably already have those plans pretty solidified. But here you will see in the orange dots all of the locations that CIEE has a center and where students can go to spend the summer abroad. So we're going to talk specifically about our summer programs tonight, and we have programs across all of the continents. So lots of opportunities to discover the world in the summer programs. Why CIEE? We've been doing this for over 75 years. CIEE was created after World War II with the hope of creating cultural understanding amongst the youth of the world, right? So, and the idea that if there is cultural understanding, there will be less conflict. So an amazing beginning, an amazing mission that has driven us for these 75 years to support over 40,000 students every year. That includes high school students, college students, students coming into the US, students leaving the US. We also have programs for teachers. So a huge range of students every year that participate in a CIEE program. We are a nonprofit organization, and we administer the largest scholarship fund for U.S. high school students for any study abroad program. Last year, we administered over $7 million for the high school summer program, and we are on the way to offer just as much or maybe a little bit more this year. So that's super exciting. We have two different types of programs. The first one I'll talk about is our topic programs. I don't know if any of you are planning to participate in a topic program. These programs are 3 weeks long, and I think Amy's daughter did a topic program, a leadership and service program. But we also have programs in STEM, arts and culture, business. These are a great opportunity to explore a passion, to kind of experience something that you're thinking about studying in college and seeing if that's actually what's for you. For example, I was a program leader in Lisbon a few years back, and I talked to the kids last spring that I was abroad with, and I had both responses. I have some students who are going to Cornell University to study international politics. I did a world government program. And another who said, no, actually, I realized I hate politics. I'm going into fashion design, right? So, but it's still a great opportunity to kind of test that out and see if that's the future that you want to pursue. And the service and learning programs like Aria, Amy's daughter, did, they offer up to 50 hours of service learning credit. We also have language programs. These programs are 4 weeks long. That is what Basha and Sarah's teens did, Basha's son and Sarah's daughter. Language programs stay in a local homestay. That's where our students are housed. In contrast to the topic programs where they're in dorms or hotels or hostels. Here they're with a local homestay so that they're really being immersed in the language and speaking the language at home with their host families. We find that 1 month with CIEE, the growth that students make linguistically is equivalent to about 1 year of taking that language in school. And as a former language teacher, I was a Portuguese teacher for many years. I can attest to the fact that I see the growth that these students make. I visit our programs and see how much that they're speaking in the target language and how much they're challenging themselves. And I have no ounce of a doubt that, this immersive experience is incredibly valuable. Students can apply for 4 college credits if they do a language program. So our school of credit is Tulane University, so they will get 4 college credits from Tulane University, and then based on the results of their STAMP test, their language proficiencies test, at the end of their program, they could qualify to earn the Global Seal of Biliteracy that is presented to them upon their high school graduation. So yeah, fun-filled weeks, classes, workshops, cultural activities with free time to explore, and on the weekends, they'll do day trips, excursions. It's really exciting. Their schedules are really packed with fun and educational activities. So yeah, so I'm gonna skip this slide and remind you that we have chaperoned flights, so you can really travel with a peace of mind, right? We have program leaders or CIEE staff. There's an adult that will chaperone a flight with your student if you choose to do a group flight, right? These group flights usually come out of certain hub cities to get to the destination. So a lot of times that first leg of the trip, your teen might have to do on their own to get to New York or Seattle or Philadelphia. But then that international leg will be chaperoned. There's 1 program leader for every 12 students. We have pre-departure orientation. There's constant support throughout the summer from people like Chandra from the US-based staff, as well as the local staff at the local centers. Our local centers are fully staffed. They are employees that work all year round. And we offer travel insurance, which is really exciting and also something that differentiates us from other study abroad programs. So you guys are here to hear from the parents. So I want to ask now to Basha, Sarah, and Amy, why did you choose to send your teen abroad with CIEE? So how did you find out about CIEE? Was it something that they came home from school talking about and you were like, let's go, let's do this? How did that whole process go for you guys? Whoever wants to start.
Okay, I will start. So my son had some experience with traveling abroad with the family through school trips, and they were always like week, 2 weeks long, but always really supervised by adults. And when the last summer in the high school before graduating, it means after junior year started approaching, we decided to go for a big hooray. And we responded to email from school recommending the program. That's how I built my first level of trust, because it was school recommended. And we decided to go for the language immersive program because it was the greatest challenge. We felt if we go abroad, we go big. We were very attracted to the idea of living in the family. We were very attracted with the idea of not speaking in English language for a few weeks and really going deep. And that was the main choices. And Ethan was in the first moment going for Madrid, but he qualified for Barcelona. We forgot Madrid in a split second, and Barcelona is our heaven destination since. So that's our story when it comes to choosing the program. Yes.
Great.
Hi, everyone. I'll tell you about our journey with Aria. She does love to travel, but I just want you to know she's actually pretty introverted, and she also has a chronic disease, which I think are really important for my contribution to this, because CIEE was attractive to us because they said that a lot of their kids were, are introverted that go and they can go alone and really make friends and things like that. And I'll tell you more about the other piece of it. But we did know about it from a friend who went, a friend of a sister of Aria's friend. She actually was already in college, and she told us that it helped her so much with everything, like her transition to college, getting into college. She enjoyed it so much, and she also went alone. So that's where I'll stop for right now.
So we found out about CIE through a good old-fashioned Google, looking for similar types of programs. And there were several different companies and organizations that offered the types of programs, but this one felt, based on the curriculum, just more educational focused and less, there was a travel element for sure, and a cultural exchange element, but we really were attracted to the fact that it offered that educational piece and that full language immersion, and knowing that she would have time to connect with her host family and her host siblings, but that there would be kind of a structured educational element, and knowing also that she could potentially get the language credits. She normally goes to a summer camp, and so it was helpful for us to be able to sort of compare the two, and to see, okay, well, she might actually get what she wants, which is for her, like, she wants to travel, but we also want her to have that educational experience as well. And so it was sort of the best of both worlds in that regard.
And that kind of the educational element ties into some of the questions that I'm seeing in the chat. And my next question, which is, what growth did you witness in your teen once they returned? So both personally, in terms of, becoming independent, gaining these personal skills, right? But also, what kind of academic growth did you see, or the benefits that you saw for your student after they returned from our program?
So I think I'll start again. Ethan left one person and became completely new person. The person who came in the airport, when coming back, was like a completely new young gentleman, because he did, as Amy and Sarah was saying, Amy was saying, Ethan also has his part, quite introverted. So at some point he had no choice, but he had to open up. He had to open up to communicating with other people and also with his vulnerabilities. He had an amazing host mom and really fantastic two brothers. And they were really supportive towards him. And when there were 2 days when he was tired of speaking Spanish and he just wanted to go into default mode, they were very, very supportive. So Ethan broke through his internal barriers as approaching new people, as coming out, as being out there, as feeling good in new surroundings. And I thought it's going to wash off for a moment, but it didn't. It just unleashed that part of Ethan that it was somewhere deep inside, and it just came out to the world and it stayed. Amazing. When it comes to educational, this is very interesting because Ethan is an engineer at Mind, and he's currently applying to several colleges for the engineering programs. So how languages and travel connect with engineering? This is our favorite part here. Ethan loves languages. He likes to learn languages on his own. He loves traveling. And he was conflicted inside with what to do in life, where engineering was developing really organically through school. And he felt like he has to give up something. On one of the college visitations, we have learned about Engineers Without Borders. And it was our greatest aha moment when Ethan, thanks to CIEE trip, could connect and kind of shape completely new path when he started thinking about his engineering interest globally. So in the applications, he boldly, every single application was showered with stories about CIEE, how much he's ready for studying abroad, how much he's ready to work with people all over the world and pursue his engineering passion. So definitely on the educational part, I couldn't see a better addition because that way his path was not narrow and stiff in a way, for the lack of words. It actually expanded. His journey right now is very diverse. There's a lot of things going on, and Ethan really gained a lot of skills to see many angles in many places that he goes in his life. So I'm incredibly grateful for this experience.
Thank you.
This is Aria, a picture of her with her experience, which is just so awesome. I was checking over the questions. So first of all, CIEE really gives you all the information that you need from the second you know that your teen is going. So I'm just going to give you the example for Aria, and this is part of her growth. She needed a specific diet. So what that meant was CIEE had to connect us with the host family ahead of time. And they put us with a family that could accommodate her diet. And of course, it ended up being like such an amazing home, but they did not speak English. And Aria had to rely on her roommate, who's like couldn't be more different than her. Now they're like best friends, though they love each other. But she was like, this is not going to work. Like, I've never, she was from California. She grew up in a Spanish speaking home. And here's Aria growing up in like Philadelphia. She goes to like an all Jewish school. Like, I mean, she just never had like this experience of busting out into a totally different culture. And she just learned to use her voice. She was like afraid to say like what she needed, and but she learned like she had to depend on the little bit of Spanish that she knew, so she went in not knowing a ton of Spanish. And what she learned, and then also like the environment was so different. Like she walked into the room, and I think at first she was like, oh my God, it's so small. I'm like living, in a very different world. And she came out of the experience with an appreciation of just people and of life and of community. And she realized that, and this, I mean, we could not have given her this gift in our little bubble here, in Philadelphia, that community is so important. It is way more than the money that you spend, or just the ability for these, like, she learned that community leans on each other in the Dominican Republic, that family is the really, really important, that meals were all together, like they weren't running around, there was a slower pace. She learned that there's a reason why she's always stressed here, like she felt like herself there. She felt that she was finally in a culture that really understood sort of how she lives, how she thinks. And, you wouldn't necessarily, you don't know until you go into a place like that. And obviously the work that she did, she met these kids. She worked in, it's a camp, basically for the youth, and they like, she couldn't believe how much people love there. They just love each other. And she came back caring more about health and more about environment. And she came back understanding how to advocate for her own self and her health. I'm not saying, I thought maybe she'd come back wanting to do public health or something, but I don't know, as far as, like, she did learn about that, but I think she learned much more how to appreciate community and family, and in the way that the Dominican Republic just functions.
Yeah.
I will sort of speak to, Ellie was on the younger side. I see some questions here about like the ages of some of the teens going, and Ellie was 14 last year, and so I was really nervous about sending like a 14-year-old girl who'd never traveled internationally, flying out of JFK. Like, pretty much I left her, I was worried about leaving her at the gate and leaving her with the lead of the program. But I think that what we both sort of learned from the whole experience was like, she definitely got the language skills, and I can get into the educational part of it. But I think we learned how to communicate as a family, and also that, like, we had to learn how to trust her to make her own decisions, and like those kind of really important life skills were something that CIEE was able to kind of give her the safety. There was never any point where I felt like she wasn't safe, but there was also structures involved where she was able to kind of navigate, with the help of her host family, getting to and from her classroom in downtown Milan, and then to her host family, and taking the metro on her own, and speaking Italian, around the city. And she came home sort of frustrated that suburban Virginia, Washington, D.C., doesn't really allow the same level of freedom that she got there, because she suddenly had all of these new skills and this independence that she wasn't really able to flex in the sort of same way that she was before. And so that was the biggest change that I saw in her, was just the independent ability to make her own decisions, which I think is something that's going to be so helpful for her as she goes into college. Like, are you structuring your day properly? Are you arriving places on time? Are you respecting other people's time and culture, language? Are you advocating for yourself and your health and your needs? Are you adjusting as you go? Those are kinds of the softer skills that she was able to learn just on those 4 weeks. Like, we went there to learn Italian, and she did come back fluent enough to talk to her grandparents, in small conversations. But the life skills and the independence, I think was the biggest change that I saw, for sure.
Yeah. And so these none of your 3 teens did like a topic program. So I do see some questions about kind of like the more hard skills. I mean, you guys, it was more like community, public service, language, right? So it makes sense that you guys focused on soft skills more. So if anybody is interested in talking to a parent or an alumni who did a topic program perhaps to hear about the growth in terms of hard skills, please feel free to email me. I don't think the chat. Can I? Yes. Here's my email, and I can try to put you in touch with an alumni or a family for you to talk to. Sorry, I just wanted to add in that note. So what is one thing that you all wish you knew before sending your teen abroad? I see a lot of worries about flights. Were you guys worried about the flights before sending your teen abroad, and kind of how did that work out?
I was worrying a lot because it's one big unknown. It's different when people are going together. It's different when you make the first step and you keep trusting. Arriving to airport was an amazing moment because suddenly there was a sea of blue shirts with the CIEE logo. It was very heartwarming. And I approached 2 or 3 families. We just started talking as we knew each other for many years. And having the same anxiety, it made us just feel not alone in this. I could see immediately my son when he was going through customs that he was feeling good. He was showing that there are people there waiting for him, and that felt good. What I wish I knew before is that it's not as scary as it seemed. That's the only thing. It's about having that experience for the first time. What I have learned, because Ethan was on the flight with chaperones, we knew that kids are in good care, and hosting families were right in Barcelona picking them up, and it was really, really amazing. They met in the center. Kids went to the center with the bus together. So everything was really well organized. I've learned to take day by day with trust as well, as we promised with my son to communicate minimum so he can really have a true experience.
We just like, it took us a while to decide, and we missed the scholarship deadline. So like, don't miss it, no matter what, just go for it. And I guess like kind of like what Vasya said, like I just had no idea of the depth of what she would learn and how she would grow. And they CIEE really helps with like just the everything that you're thinking about, they will help you with. Like I'll give you an example. Like I was so worried about her diet because she's on this like autoimmune protocol. So it means like no gluten, no dairy, this and that. I thought this is going to be impossible. Not only did they get me in touch with the host family ahead of time, they put us with like Aria was with the perfect family. It was amazing. She ended up there was a daughter the same age, so she still keeps in touch with her, and they talk all the time. And then they also helped us connect with a network of private chefs. That was something that I paid for additionally, but I really didn't mind. I was willing to do anything to make this piece smooth for her. And they put us in touch with an amazing person that helped us navigate restaurants. Like it was just not something you would expect. And also, I think with communication, because I saw a lot of things about that, like I was worried, like, am I going to hear anything? And it's sort of like, you do hear from the program, but like you don't really want to hear from the program, like because that means there's probably some sort of problem. Like you don't want to hear too much, but your kid's gonna text you because they all have international plans, and I went between like wanting to hear everything and see every picture and to like, okay, the less I hear, the better. So try to keep that in mind.
Amazing. Thank you.
I think for me, I very much had to remind myself to just back off. Like I was so worried about like her being so young, and there saw a couple of questions that were like, are they safe at night? Because they're, at least in Ellie's program, there were a couple days in a hostel situation, and then with her host family. And then there was, when they would travel around, they kind of have different accommodations. And I was like, is she going to make good choices? Is she going to be safe at night? But if I had any questions, I had one question at the airport. I had another question at another point, and there's literally always somebody on the program who is going to take a call, whether it's like CIE personally or the local teacher, or there's like a parent WhatsApp group, and then also the host family. So there are so many options for like staying in touch. I also recommend what I did, which is that so that I wasn't constantly messaging her, I just told her, I was like, I'm going to log into your Snapchat. And I know that you are not going to want to talk to me, but if you're sending messages to your friends, then I'll know that you're okay. I just want to make sure that you're not lost on the subway. So if I see that little red delivery to your friends, I'm going to know. And so she was like, fine, don't look at anything. But, I think that was one of the little things that helped her be able to like fully immerse, and also me feel at peace, because I was like, nobody wants to talk to their mom when they're like gallivanting around Italy. Like, please be serious. She doesn't want to check in with you. And so that was sort of our balance in between. And so I think her going into Scotland for a topic specific program this year, I'm like, okay, I feel much more comfortable just like sitting back. I know that there are like highly trained professionals who are going to have it under control. And she's going to have a much better time if I'm not interfering.
Sarah, I think we'd probably be best friends. We sound really similar. I'm sorry, I just have one more thing that was really helpful that I think I need to tell them. If you have a specific issue, like we did with the dietary concerns, I talked with Maddie was our person, and she actually helped us choose this program. So I just want you to know, like, that is really important. If you have some specific thing where you want a program where there's a little more downtime. Like I also said, like, she doesn't want to be hiking mountains. Like that is just not going to be something, we went through every single program and they helped us. Like if there's something specific that won't work, like it's really good to know that, because I would never have guessed that they would go to that extreme to make sure Arya wouldn't be hiking mountains.
For sure. Any concerns that you have, I do see some more concerns about students that are vegan or religious dietary restrictions, or if the host family doesn't work out. These are all things that we are here to work with you and for you on, right? So any dietary restrictions, whether they be celiac or food allergies or vegan or vegetarian or religious restrictions, put that in the application and we will be sure to find a host family that is suitable to be able to meet those needs of your student. If things don't work out, it is possible to change host families, right? We want our students to be happy and feeling safe as they're studying abroad, right? So these are definitely things that we're used to working with. I'm going to start going through some more of the questions because we've got lots of questions. So I'm going to start scanning through. I feel like we've touched on a bunch of them, but will CIEE inform parents when students landed at their destination? Did you guys find out when your student landed?
Yes. Well, I
Yeah.
also had, like, I could tell where they were. Like Aria has find my, the location was always on.
I tracked the flight over the ocean like
Yeah.
every 15 minutes, but I definitely got a phone call and an email. So
There was an email and I got a text message from Ethan as well as soon as he loaded his phone.
Yeah, and then there's also newsletters that my team helps the centers with throughout the summer, right? And you get weekly newsletters from the center about what they do, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Aria hid a lot from the camera though, because like don't count on a lot of pictures. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, some of these programs have a lot of kids, right? So your team might not necessarily be in the picture. Okay, let's see. communicate with kids? What healthcare handle? Did any of you have any incidents with healthcare? I see that question more than once.
Believe it or not, you guys kept Arya so healthy and like it was amazing. So whoever was on staff was able to handle it. She did get like some sort of insect bite, and she was in a public health program, so there was always a doctor around. And I did choose, part of the reason why she chose it, was also because we knew that would work.
Great. Anybody else? I can tell you that as a program leader, I took a student to the hospital back in 2021. So yes, there's care, there's access to healthcare. And that's what program leaders are there for, to make sure that they're safe and they're okay. And I had a student that had an injury, and that was okay. All of my other responsibilities for the night have now gone, because my main responsibility and my main concern is making sure the student is okay and gets seen by the doctor. So yeah, we take that very seriously. Okay.
Donna, I have a question here for
Yeah.
the parents.
Yeah.
As a parent, what is one thing that we should know before getting our kids on the plane? I don't know if you guys cover that.
Don't pack so much, please. Especially if you're going to the Dominican Republic, like you don't need all that stuff.
Yes, it would be really, really good to pack your kid in one suitcase so they don't have too many pieces. As compact as possible, and clothes mismatching so they can fool around with them without being stressed about outfits too much. Simplicity is the best way to do it. Some other thing that I want to share a funny story. I give Ethan some cash because it's good to have, but I also give him his Amex because what if he runs out of cash? I wanted him to have this freedom. So last week, the second last evening before departure, Ethan found Polish restaurant, because my heritage is Polish. So Ethan found Polish restaurant in Barcelona, and he wanted to present Polish foods to his beautiful host family. And turn out they didn't take American Express, and Ethan was with no money because he already splurged on all the other shopping with his cash. And I had a beautiful, really frantic 15 minutes, but we've exchanged PayPals with the host mom, so I was able to feed the money right away, and Ethan could really host and celebrate with the family. But please check the form of payments that are being received in the destination where your child is going if you don't want to give cash only. That may create either a funny or not so funny moment for your kids. So I would recommend doing this as well. Checking what cards are being used in different places, checking the prices, getting the little orientation so you actually know what's going on. Let's not assume that everything is similar than here. I did assume a little bit too much. And that will give a little bit of comfort as well for the kids.
Yeah. Definitely important. And I do see some questions about money there and how much spending money you sent with your students.
Yeah. I mean, they really don't need much. I mean, everything's really taken care of. Like Arya came home with a lot of money. There just wasn't there wasn't a lot of time. There wasn't a lot of shopping time. I don't know if it's just where she was in the Dominican, maybe other programs there's more shopping time. But like, and I also saw some things about downtime. Like there are days they build in for like downtime, free time. And then also like if they're really nice about like if there was a day where she just needed to rest or something, there was that kind of flexibility. And that's what's so great about a host family. Like Arya always had a place that was like home, it wasn't like she was by herself. There was always somebody home, it was great.
Yeah, our host family knew that, at least for the group that Ellie was in Milan, they wanted to do a ton of shopping. So she had some cash, but she mostly had a credit card that she would check in, like, can I use this for this? Yes or no. But because she was doing that on a couple times a week, like in between her in her free time with the girls, they would kind of run around. They'd pop into a museum or go get some pizza, and then they want to go shopping. And so her host family, the mom and I would chat, and she'd be like, okay, well, since she went shopping with her friends on this day, and she would bring her host sister with her, so she got to kind of meet it with everyone. But she's like, we're going to take her hiking on this day, and then we're going to take all the girls to go to the beach on this other day. So it was a nice kind of balance of offerings for her. But I would recommend, we did call our credit card company before, and we were like, okay. And there would be times when I would like lock it, just to be sure. But I don't think sending her with a card and some cash, I don't think money issues ever really came up. We were always sort of in the clear there. The only issue we did have was with her iPad. We should have changed out the SIM card. That you guys had set it up beautifully for phones, and there was never a point where we couldn't communicate with her. But for her classwork, she ended up having to use a different computer. But so just make sure you work out those little details before you go.
The SIM card question, I've seen that come up a bit. Did your students need to get SIM cards to go abroad? How did you deal with that?
Just an international plan. Just add that.
Yeah. And so it also depends on the program. So some programs, they'll give students local phones for them to make to their program leaders while abroad. Some others give Wi-Fi routers for them to have a hotspot constantly and have access to WhatsApp. But yeah, I would say it depends on where the students are going as well. But getting a SIM card is also an option if
Yeah, and I would say compare one of the reasons why we didn't do like a summer camp type program is like Aria actually really wanted to be able to communicate, take pictures, feel like in real time she could connect with where she was. And so they were really great about that. But they weren't like the kids weren't always on their phones. It just was like a security thing. And there was never any problem with her having her phone. I think that's great. Whereas like summer camp, they don't really let you do that.
Right.
I just want to say there was something else that was very interesting that I would have never expected. It's a hot political climate and there's a lot of different beliefs. And before Aria went, just wasn't sure like how would that all land. And these kids that choose to go on CIEE are really studious. They're like, you're surrounding yourself with like the best of the best. There were kids just doing math problems on the bus, or like studying for the SAT. And, the level of just go get them. Like these were just amazing kids that she was with. But I would just say like, I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm sorry. Where did I start? I started with something so I know what I was going to say. I had asked the question like, will political views come up? Like, will she feel safe or uncomfortable? And she literally made she's very close with someone who I don't think they ever talked about their political views, but they are close as can be. And they did guarantee me, like at CIEE, they said, she's going to feel safe. Like it's not going to, these kids are just so amazing. Like they could manage just being there for what they're there for without, making people feel uncomfortable about their views. I thought that was a really important thing. And it really did play out that way.
Okay, I see. Oh my goodness. So scholarships. Did any of you do any fundraising or scholarships for your student that you'll be able to speak about, or no?
We did a scholarship last year, not this year, but we did one last year, yes. And it was, I know there was a couple questions about like when will we find out. I know that finding out about the scholarship took much longer last year than finding out about the program this year. And I think it was kind of right on the very last day where we could have found out. But it still gave us plenty of time to plan, and that money was like immediately applied to our account. And so it made it really, really easy to kind of just like know where we stood, what balance we need to pay. And then we had somebody help us with the flight box, paying for that as well, and kind of checking out and everything there. There was like a lot of just like immediate, whenever I had a question, it was like an immediate response in my inbox.
Chandra, can you give insight? I don't know if you have insight on when parents will be hearing back about scholarships. I see that question a lot.
Yeah, so if you submitted by the January 15th deadline, you will hear back by the end of this month, by the end of February. And if you're submitting for the February 26th deadline, you will hear back by the end of March.
Great, thank you so much.
I wanted to just say something about the safety question. At least in the Dominican, ARIA always had to be with a buddy. They were never allowed to go by themselves anyplace. And there also was a curfew. So it was always very safe, I would say. And also Aria is applied to go again this year. I didn't tell you guys that, but she wants to go to Argentina for that.
I actually saw that today. I was looking at all of your kids' accounts today to confirm where they were, and I saw that I had both of them confirmed or far along new applications. So that was really exciting. I had something in my, oh yes. So about the safety and about that question, I see a lot of questions about free time and going out at night. There's a curfew. Every program has curfew. That is determined by the city. It's not a CIEE wide curfew. That is determined by the local city staff who know their city the best, and will vary. If they're with a host family, the curfew is still imposed by the center, right? The center still gives the curfew that they have to be back at home by. And then after that curfew, they can only leave if they are with their host family. So sometimes the host families will, there's lots of feasts and celebrations in the summer, so they might take them out for fireworks after the curfew or something like that, but they have to be with the host family. And then in terms of free time throughout the week, again, that is something that varies center to center, but it is very structured. Students cannot go off by themselves. No matter what, they're going to have a buddy with them to explore on their own during their free time and check in, usually on an hourly basis, with their program leader. I see questions still about the host families, average tenure of host families. We have many families that come back again and again. I can't give a number of average tenure off the top of my head, but these are families that are highly vetted, that they, again, by the local staff, have background checks, and their intentions and motivation for hosting a student is looked into. I did see questions of what encourages families to become a host family, and I think it's about the international exchange for them as well. They're not getting paid lots of money to have your students. I feel like that question came up again the other day as well. They're there because they want to have this experience of having an international student and to create this bridge. The money that they get just covers the food that they're feeding your kids. I did see a specific question about Lisbon being a homestay for the first time this year. I don't think that is any reason to worry. Again, all of our CIEE homestays are highly vetted, so it's going to follow the same process. The homestays in The Lisbon Center has experience finding homestays for their university students and many years of experience because I studied abroad in Lisbon with CIEE in college and I had a homestay. And that was a while ago, unfortunately. So yes, there's not a worry to that. Again, they're all highly vetted. Are your kids still in contact with homestays with their families? And Sarah, whatever you were going to say, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know how different the host family process is for families abroad versus here, but we are going to be a host family this coming year for a whole school year. And I can tell you that that process has been going on since September. It's a consistent ongoing process. There's lots of questions involved. We just had our our local representative from CIEE come last Saturday. She's a social worker for the state of Virginia, and she came and like talked to every person in the family just about like, is everybody on board? Yeah, like it was such a thorough process that I can only imagine. It's maybe different in other countries, but like it's a very thorough process. So you can rest assured, and we don't get paid. It's truly like the kids have their spending money for themselves for like going out and doing stuff, but like it's just because we want to be on the other side of it now. And so yeah, it's very thorough. You don't need to worry about that.
We're still in, I mean, Aria is still in touch with her host family. As I said, there was a daughter her age, Camilla, and she talks to her probably at least weekly. They're very close, and it was just such an amazing experience. And Aria also keeps in touch with a few of the kids that she went. She talks about going to visit them. There wasn't anybody from Philadelphia. I mean, most the ones she really connected with are on the West Coast. Lucky mom. But but yeah, friends for a lifetime.
Amazing.
We are staying in a very soft contact, but Ethan is communicating with the mom. There were two boys. There was a little bit of they do speak Spanish with Ethan, but I think the age was also contributing. They were a little bit younger than Ethan, so the connectivity was almost there, let's say. Rather with mom, it's more like a lot of gratitude at sending the holiday wishes and little trips that we like even like just walk around in New York to bring it closer to them. They have open invitation to visit us at any time, so they have a free stay in New York for life. That's what I like to do. So hopefully one day Mariana will be with us and we will be able to show her New York and then really give a very, very big thank you for her time for my son.
And I think at least Amy referenced a roommate, right? People are asking if there are multiple
yes,
CIE
there's a roommate.
students. There can be roommates, not necessarily, right? But
yeah. I think you indicated on the application what you want, you know, and I think the greatest need for Aria because of the dietary issues was somebody that spoke just the best Spanish that could be. And they really consider that for sure.
I see questions about meals on topic programs. So, and then I also saw a question about kids staying in the hostels or the hotels and not in homestays and questions about safety. When our students are not in homestays, when they're in a hostel or a hotel or a dormitory, the program leaders live with them. So they are still chaperoned. The program leaders are still housed in there and they're there 24/7 for supervision. So again, I was a program leader on a topic program. I had them knocking on my door at 11:30 asking for extra toilet paper, right? So the program leaders are there constantly to support your kids when they are in that other home living situation. And then in terms of meals, what will happen is usually dinner, all of the students will eat together. Whether it's at a restaurant or at their living accommodations. And then a lot of times they will get a stipend for lunch and the center will give them however much money per week where they can spend it, out exploring the city during their lunch break and, find their favorite cafe to go and get some food at. I saw a question specifically about Barcelona. Basha, how did you feel with safety with Barcelona? Worries about hostility towards tourists in
The
Barcelona?
main attraction in Barcelona is pickpocketing. There was no other concerns. Ethan didn't experience that. Nothing was picked from Ethan. But yes, we prepared for that, meaning Ethan would always have money in some kind of little wallet that was always somewhere inside, not easy accessible. So that kind of behavior. But other than that, I don't find from his stories that he felt ever unsafe or insecure, being not that much outgoing, at least in the first 2 weeks of the program. So only that, just general self-awareness and keeping your bag and keeping your belongings to yourself.
There was a lot of there's a lot of cat calling in the Dominican. I don't think Aria was used to that, but I think by the end she was like, well, I kind of like this.
Yeah, Ellie took the metro to and from downtown Milan to like 20 minutes north, not outside the city, but north. And at first I was like, a 14-year-old girl on the metro alone? And then like it was totally normal. Like she was like, I can handle it. But the first I would say week or so, her host family, the daughter would go with her and ride the metro in and out. And then she's like, I've got this, I'm fine. And she did say that there was like cat calling, but she's like, it's no different than taking the metro in Washington, D.C. And so I don't think she ever felt unsafe. And her host family was like, if she ever feels unsafe, we'll just ride the metro with her. And so, there was always a backup plan for the backup plan if she felt at any point that she was uncomfortable.
Were your students, I think we've kind of touched on this, but they were able to talk to host families for sure before going abroad. And then were they also introduced to classmates before going abroad?
There was a WhatsApp group, but nobody really, again, like there were a lot of introverts. Nobody's really talking on that. If you just happen to maybe find somebody on Instagram, there wasn't a lot of that, but at the airport, they started the mixers like right away. So the mixers are really important and they make sure that everybody meets each other. I thought that was really good. And I just wanted to say one other thing that was really great about the dietary issues. The program leader in the Dominican went through the entire 3 weeks with me of meals, everything that we were doing. So we were able to be proactive about what meals she might need from the outside, from like a private chef or whatever. So I just thought that was extremely kind and supportive, that CIEE would be willing to, even share an itinerary with us, because we needed it for health reasons. And they just went out of their way to make sure that Aria, like she could just focus on being herself there. Like she didn't have to have any of the anxiety of meals or, anything. So they do a really good job preparing you.
When it comes to talking to the host family before leaving, we got a contact shortly before departure and we did one short FaceTime. To me, it was important to see the faces, to see that these are real people, that they are there. And it was enough. For me, it was enough.
Yeah, we connected via WhatsApp and kind of did like family introductions with everyone, and they would send photos over. And then Ellie was able to connect. She had a host sister who was a year older, and then a host brother who was like 2 years older. and she was able to connect with both of them on Snap. They didn't have Snapchat at that point, and she was like, "Oh, let me introduce you to a whole new world." But they connected on Instagram, and the mom and I were chatting, and then when she got to the airport, I think like Amy had said, I kind of wanted to hang out with her at the airport and just like, be there. And our host, the host of the program, he was like, if you leave now, it gives her like a couple hours to really connect with the other students. And so if anything, I would suggest, if you're going on a chaperoned flight, like the earlier the better, maybe, because it really does give them time to connect with one another. I felt like, Ellie had said by the time she got off the plane, like they were friends, so and then they were able to kind of start pairing up for when they were in the hostel, in the hotel rooms. They were all just kind of like already friendly and felt comfortable sharing rooms together.
I just want to say something about the academic piece because I see that keeps coming up. With the public health, Aria did have seminars every day, almost every day. Maybe the weekend was something a little different, but she was learning about public health in the Dominican. She also learned, like blood pressure, like some other things related to health, how to do that. When they went on outings, it was not just like, oh, let's go sightsee. Like they learned about the history of the Dominican. They like everything was like a cultural, and it was a lecture. And so it was really highly intellectual as well. Plus the level of the kids, as I mentioned, it's a higher cream of the crop kind of academic students. So the conversations, they were just really academic, I would say. I mean, they were fun and social too, but it gave a lot of doorways to talk about a lot of different topics and social concern, environmental concern in that area. I mean, public health, they really covered all the avenues of the academics of public health.
I see the question, did your teens ever seem stressed with academics while they were abroad?
No.
You mean with those academics?
Yeah,
or
with like those
their,
with the CIEE academics.
Vasya, did you want to say?
Stressed or overwhelmed, or pressure for getting a
No,
good grade on the test.
Aria was only stressed because she felt like there were kids like studying for their ACT on the bus. I think that was the only thing that was stressing her out, but otherwise it wasn't stressful.
Great.
Ethan was on the immersive language program, so yes, he hit his bump. That was like about 2 weeks into the program when, like, I think I said it before, when he was like, I'm going back to speaking English, I just want to speak my language. He had a moment of being stuck, and because academics, if they were stressed, being on an immersive language program, you are basically at school 24/7 because you speak another language. And the host families, as far as I recall, they are adjusted to the level of knowledge of the student. And Ethan had a good level, at least we thought. So he got a family that the mom was barely speaking English, like a few words only. And Ethan had to handle, and he did. And it's actually a good thing, because if the family knew more of the language, there will be no need to really push himself and talk. So from a person who was kind of communicating, he came back speaking comfortable Spanish, and that's I find it a lot of growth. So yes, there was a moment, and yes, he was very well supported, and he pushed through, and I think he was his breakthrough moment in this very moment as well. A lot of moments in what I just said.
Great. And you shared with me before, and I see this question, and maybe this will be our last question. But you shared with me before how you feel like it was a definite one-up for him on his college application. So can you just share that? Because I do see parents asking about including CIEE on college application.
I'm noticing that too, and I was wondering if I could answer those questions in the chat, if it would be okay. We feel like it definitely gave an edge to Ethan's application, because a lot of colleges, most of the colleges, they host the study abroad experience. And this way they can show that student is prepared for diverse experience at school, that he has experience. I know that some colleges actually work with CIEE as well. So it's like stepping into familiar waters. It's not that a student is going to school and then he will explore. He can clearly say, I have this and this and this experience. And it really means a lot, because even if Ethan is going for engineering, being abroad with the languages, it shows connectivity. He thinks about languages in an engineering way as well, because you can engineer languages too. So he pulled a lot of value from this program into his application process. And we believe that all of these yeses that are coming, they include that part as well. Definitely.
Did any of you have the experience of your teens attending religious services while abroad? That question was asked a couple times. No, but definitely, include that on the application, and they would definitely be able to make that work for your student. Great. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that Ellie didn't attend any religious services, but on the host family application, it does ask you, are you willing to help a child attend, services? So I would imagine that that is a question that your host family would be more than happy to help you figure out, once you're able to connect with them.
Okay, great. Yes, this session is recorded and the email will go out very soon so that you can rewatch this or share it with anybody that may have missed it. So thank you all for joining, and I'm just going to ask for our panelists to give one last word of parting advice before we hang up, but we're already at 9:10, so I want to respect everybody's time, but if you could all just give me one more piece of advice for parents about to send their teens abroad for the first time. I'm sure a very scary step for many parents.
Trust the process, take it day by day, and I think most of all, believe in your teenagers. They can do way more than we parents imagine, and let them.
Yeah, I would say let it be a learning process for you too, which is that learning process of just not necessarily letting go, but you remind yourself in those moments where you're stressing about where are they, what are they doing, that you have raised a competent kid. Trust your skills up to this point. You've raised a competent human being who has been accepted on a program and who can handle themselves in the world, and setting them up, giving them this opportunity to go into the world safely is trust that you and they will navigate that well together.
Yeah, but just let your kid be adventurous in spirit, and it's going to be great. That's it. Just CIEE, you guys are the best. So
thank you. Thank you everybody for attending. Again, here is my email if you want to be put in touch with any alumni or family with specific questions about a specific program. Of course, always email hsabroad@ciee.org with more general questions. They are going to be the ones who are best equipped to answer your the more technical questions and the questions about application and things like that. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, ready to help and wanting to help your teen have this amazing experience of studying abroad. And wanting you to be comfortable and feel assured as you do so that your teen is going to be safe and have a life-changing, amazing experience. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
thank you. Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.